I've been faking my voice for 10 years, for half of my life. No one has ever really known what I sound like until today. Hi, I'm Bones. Today I'll be talking yet again about my voice, also known as hell itself inside of my throat. I've spoken about this before a few times on this channel. Oh my god, we get it! So over the course of the last year or so, I think people have still been rather confused about the whole situation. So I'll be touching more on that today. I'll also be sharing some of the very few audio clips that exist of me in my actual voice. So stay till the end if you want to hear that. Please do, because my suffering needs to be for some kind of cause. And spoiler, it sounds nothing like this. Before anything though, I want to give a quick caveat that I do still speak in this very voice in my everyday life still. It's still something I'm actively navigating, but I will elaborate on this throughout the video. To start, I want to provide a brief summary on what I've touched on previously for anyone that's new or forgot, it's been a while. But also I want to make some points more clear than I did previously. To be honest, watching it back, I was a little like, go on though. I mean, let me sit my ass back down. I got a lot to talk about. So to start, I'm a cisgender male, meaning I was born male biologically at birth and identify as such. I am not trans, and I am not a female identifying person. I do get misgendered on this channel, even now, even recently, so I just want to clarify that. I have a disorder that is referred to clinically as puberphonia or mutational falsetto. This is defined by, again, the habitual use of a higher pitch. This was something I mentioned briefly in the last video, but what this means is that I'm speaking in a higher register than what is natural for my larynx. For the sake of comparison, if you're still confused, this is like when a vocalist or a singer, that's like the same thing. Anyways, they'll use their upper register to sing higher notes. However, this is the register I speak in. I am not Billie Eilish. So to be more specific, it's the cricothyroid muscle, insert graphic here, that is under constant strain for me to achieve the pitch that I speak at. The grind is real, but fun fact, the voice cracks you hear, like the one that just happened, isn't necessarily a voice crack. It's more so the cricothyroid muscle releasing its tension and allowing my voice to speak as it's supposed to. And I know you guys have seen and commented on this very frequently. So over time, this physical usage will result in me having a lot of breaks, more so than usual. It'll cause me a lot of pain in my throat, or it'll just result in air. Air conditioners are supposed to be useful. Like right now, as you're hearing me speak, it's in a much more comfortable place, probably because I took a fucking 3-hour nap. This causes a lot of issues in my life surrounding every area, like jobs. When I'm trying to talk to people at a cash register, they're like, what? What? I can't hear you. Sir, what? Or school. No, I would never raise my hand in class, or when I was asked to read anything, it would, I'd be called on in class and be like, oh, here we go. Do not ask me to read any page from any textbook. It will end in disaster, mostly for me, or relationships. I don't do it. I'm so sorry. I will never be in a relationship as long as I sound like this. It just is off the table, which may sound very dramatic, but that's just how my brain works. I'm often mistaken for being a girl, a child even, or a boy pretending to be a girl in Valorant. Disclaimer, I do not play Valorant. I already have enough mental illness, thank you. In the original video I made a joke about being Mickey Mouse's wretched cousin. Want to specify wretched cousin. However, in this video, I want to clarify that I do not appreciate this comparison from other people. It has been commonly used to insult me, and it makes me very uncomfortable when that comparison is made. It was mainly made for my own sake. It's like when you make a joke about yourself and then someone jumps in on it and you're like, anyways. Another thing is, previously in my last video, I mentioned not having a formal diagnosis for the disorder, and it caused a bit of a stir, a bit of a divide. I want to state that self-diagnosis can be an option for those who don't have access to professional services for whatever reason applies to them. However, I want to preface this by saying that this should be used with discretion in mind. If you can, I highly recommend seeking professional help. It can benefit you significantly. However, I also understand that this is not an option for everybody, so take that as you will. I have since seen a specialist for these issues, only once. I'll touch on this later. However, he didn't necessarily give me a diagnosis, or at least I don't know how diagnoses work. I don't know if they are supposed to be like written on paper, but he did verbally acknowledge the issue and address it via its clinical terms, so I just took it as is. So in this video, I'm not going to go into too much detail about the history of this issue and how it came about for me. However, if you'd like a little more information on that, you can go to my last video. I'll put it in the time card or wherever in the description. You can go there, you can check out that information, and then you can come back here. Please do. I worked really hard on this. But in short, daddy issues. God, I might as well just send this to my counselor. Before I move into my next point, I want to quickly talk about how this has affected my relationship with my gender identity. I feel like this is something that is important for the sake of the timeline and my experiences here. And I want to be honest and say that this did come into question for me more times than I would like to admit, because growing up, again, I didn't feel comfortable calling myself a boy or a man or like any of those terms. They do still feel uncomfortable for me, but and I didn't really connect with the other male classmates I had or people around me in my life, and it's always been a very weird situation for me because I've never felt like one of them. Yeah, this came into question a number of times for me. With further introspection, I did come to the terms with the fact that it wasn't necessarily the whole entirety of my gender that made me uncomfortable or the way I identified in general, but it was more so just my relationship with it. This is purely of my own experience, however. I don't want to speak on anybody else, and this isn't meant to invalidate trans people's very real experiences. Anywho, I've received a number of comments from people who want to reassure me that they like my voice and that there's nothing wrong with it and that I should embrace my uniqueness. And although I do appreciate the sentiment and I understand it is well intentioned, but this is also a very large issue for me. It's not just an insecurity. No, it's like a disorder that very much affects me in every area of my life. And in some cases, it gets to an extent where it results in permanent damage. So it's very serious and should be addressed. Additionally, these comments leave me feeling trapped in it even further because I'll lose my sparkle if I change it or whatnot. And let me tell you, craft glitter, we can leave that at Michael's. Thank you. Now you may be asking yourself, why do I still sound like this? And why do I still uphold this voice if it's causing me this much of a problem? And if you aren't, well, I'm gonna answer it anyway. It's a bit complicated. It's just a lot of anxiety for me. It's mainly irrational. It's very much like, this is not gonna kill you, I know that, but it's this like knot in my chest that I can't untie. There's just an overwhelming amount of stress surrounding the idea of changing how I sound, especially around the people who have known me my entire life and have gotten used to it. They're all like, oh, I'm used to it by now. I just have this fear of the response. Regardless if it's negative or positive, any large reaction would still make me feel very uncomfortable. So, and it's bound to happen. I mean, it's probably inevitable, which is the part that is likely keeping me from doing anything at all. To be honest, I haven't done a whole lot with it. Furthermore, I also feel that my current environments do not promote this healing by any means. That's a whole other thing. I'm not going to get on that. I don't want to talk about that. But I've only seen my speech therapist once, and to be honest, I'd have to see him regularly for this to be more effective. But that is not only a financial obligation that is significant, it's also, again, something that I'm just nervous about, something I hesitate and put off. I want to be entirely transparent that this process has been far from linear for me. I've resorted to unhealthy coping mechanisms that have landed me in a financial spot where I am not able to afford these appointments, and that's not something I'm proud of, but it's also a very real experience for a lot of people who are healing from things, regardless of what it is, even if it's not related to this voice issue. And more times than not, I've chosen the path of avoidance. It just feels easier to live with the constant pain than to face the very fears that stun my progress. I want this to stand as a message for anyone out there who is healing from, again, anything that is not even just a voice disorder, not even just anything at all. I want this to stand as a message for other people that this is a process that will be different for everybody, and that there is nothing wrong with you if this road is longer for you than somebody else. So how do I feel right now? You might be wondering. Honestly, not great. I still hate the way I sound. That hasn't changed, and I still hate who I am because of it. I compare myself to other people who have had a smoother road than me and their progress, because there's a lot of shame surrounding this topic for me, and I feel like I'll be judged for not just going ahead and fixing these problems, because I know a lot of you have looked forward to me overcoming this issue. But for this video, I want to just accept that this process has been very difficult and has not been a steady uphill for me. But today, I think it's important that I make some progress at all, even if small, even if it's scary. But this can only be done by overjumping a hurdle that would be freaking spooky. But I hope this can resonate with someone. That being said, this is what I really sound like. Morning.
So you can be down here and talk a little bit, yeah.
Morning. This is like what it's supposed to sound like, I guess. But yeah.
And there you have it. For reference, my fake voice sits around the 220 hertz range, but my real voice sits around 100 to 104. I think. I'm not too sure about the stability of that. I don't do it often. But if the audible difference wasn't enough, there's some metrics for you. But yeah, that's where I currently stand with everything in my voice. Hopefully you weren't too disappointed. I know this is very much not a lot for the time that has passed, which has been a year. That's nuts. I just want to quickly again say thank you to everybody who's been so patient and so kind about everything. It's been a lot for me to deal with, and so that's really helped. But I hope this could at least resonate with some people, even if it doesn't directly relate to their issue. I know my issue is very much like, I think it's like a 1 in a million type situation, which is very, very odd. But I know a lot of trans people were able to relate to my last video, and that's super important that people are able to connect with that. But yeah, this hasn't been an easy process for me, and it will continue to be difficult, but I hope that this will at least be the first step in continuing making progress, and I hope that this inspires someone to do the same. I don't think I'll make much more of an update until there's more significant progress, just because things are going to be pretty consistent, but I'd still be happy to make more voice related content. I know you guys enjoyed that. Aside from the usual Minecraft stuff, as you're seeing, this is a very different format. I hope you like it. I love making the Minecraft content. I remember it was like the basis of this channel. But yeah, we have a lot of fun in Minecraft. Feel free to check that stuff out too. Maybe I'll do that Q&A I never got around to. I don't know why I never got around to it. I think I just got overwhelmed. So if you do have any questions, thoughts, video ideas you'd like to see, anything at all, if you have just one thing on your mind, let me know. I'd love to hear it. I appreciate hearing from you. But anyhow, that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more stuff like this. You can always unsubscribe if you hate me later. And if you want to follow me elsewhere, you can do so by checking the links in the description box. We have a Discord that I keep forgetting to promote, but I talk a lot on there if you want to hang out. We also have channel memberships, so if you want to be a member of the Relics, you can do so by clicking the join button down below and get your name in every outro card and a shout out in every live stream. I added some new emotes and badges. I worked really hard on them, so I hope you like them. But yeah, that's all from me, and I will see you next Saturday, either on Twitch or here. I'm going to be in school, so I'm not too sure about how things will play out, but I'm wanting to be more consistent on here. But anyway, I'll see you around. Bye-bye.